all went well until he fell in love with some lady who was the girlfriend or wife of a miner who was a stranger in town, and it all came to a head at the saloon and a fight to the death. But Tessie talked a little bit in her recitation about Bucky, and the recitation that I'm going to say is the Armagh version of Dangerous Dan McGrew. And what they were doing in Armagh at that point in time, because they're always had some bit of tricking, and what they were doing at that time, they were getting buckfast wine, and they were putting a little bit of gin or vodka or poaching or anything that could, anything at all that had take the old sweet taste off it, and they were mixing it up and rebottling it and wrapping it up in a brown paper bag, and they distribute it then to the drunks and down and outs and skinheads and anyone that was having a bad day. And it was known as the Bucky and the brown paper bag, so that's where the Bucky came from, the brown paper bag. But one of the chief bottlers and distributors of this stuff was a man by the name of Dan McHugh. So the recitation became known as Dangerous Dan McHugh. A crowd of the boys were whipping it up in a Portydown saloon. A young chap was feeding a jukebox. It was playing an M&M tune. Smokers were all staying out in the yard. They were trying to stay out of bother where a wheeny young drunks in band uniforms were kicking the shite out of them. A few old farts were up throwing darts. It was 3:01 start or end on a double. Now, not the sort of night you'd be expecting a fight or anyone looking for trouble. Up at the band with a pint in his hand stood Dangerous Dan McHugh, and by his side was his blushing bride, Big Patricia. She worked in the brew. Well, I'll tell you now, she was one ugly cow, with a face you could only call foul, lipstick and mascara wheeled in a barra and slapped on with a plaster of trousers. Her brat was said to be 84 Z with reinforced steel in the hook. She was 25 stone, muscle and bone, and more chins than a Chinese phone book. She had teeth like red rum, and with yon massive bum all you needed was winkers and reins. Her jeans were that tight that in a good light you could count all her varicose veins. Now Dangerous Dan was a skinny wee man, but he kept a big hurley stick, which he used with bad taste for adjusting the face of anyone that got on his wick. But if you were stuck or down on your luck, he'd be the first number you'd ring, and wherever you were, soon Dan'd be there, and a heavenly gift he would bring. And all of your troubles he'd melt just like bubbles, your spirits he'd raise like a stag, for he'd arrive at full throttle and deliver a bottle, a Bucky in a brown paper bag. And wherever you're at, be it mansion or squat, depressed or just having a bad day, thanks to Dangerous Dan and his shiny white van, well, heaven was just a phone call away. He was known from Drumcree up to Tandragee, and from Lurgan to Kilmaine, and by the Ban Bank, where the skinheads all drank, they erected a shrine to his name. But Dan was a man for the deal cash in hand. There was no drink till you coughed up the cash, and if you argued the toss, well, your teeth you could lose, for his hurley sticks settled your hash. Now it was coming on 9:30, and so things were going fine, and old boy was playing a guitar. He just took a break for to go out for a lake, and he left all his stuff at the bar. Well, this stranger walked in. He was smelling a gin, and he had a bottle of Bucky in his hand. He had old dungarees that had holes in both knees, and a coat that come straight from Oxfam. And no one knew his name nor what was his game, but his eyes had a mad crazy glow. Was he a spy or a brewman on the sleigh, or just someone lost from the snow? But Danny went pale, and his heart it grew quail, for he knew that this stranger meant trouble. And beneath her mascara, Big Patricia looked at her, and her chins all started to wobble. Well, he made for the bar when he eyed the guitar, and he sat down and sang us a song. It told of a heart that was broken apart by a love that went terribly wrong. As he sang his sad song, it brought a tear to the throng as we sat round that old barroom floor. For his voice was that shit that he should have been hit with a stone outside Dan Murphy's door. But he hit the last note, and he threw off his coat, and a dung grape was hid in his belt. He says, I have come for to kill a wee scum and to bury this grape in his pelt. For I was the man that invented the plan of delivering the bottles of Bucky. Big Patricia and me lived the life of Ray Lee in a caravan up in Drummucky. Then Dan came along with his charm and his song and he stole her right out of me hand. And if that made me curse, the wee fecker did worse, for he went off with me shiny white van. He shouted, now Dan, you're going down the pan, for I'm hauling you over the coals. You'll be looking for tape, for I'm taking this grape and I'm making you 4 new assholes. He said, when I am done, you'll not have much fun and your smile it'll not be as cute. You dirty old dog, you'll be going to the bog like an orange man playing the flute. Well, Danny leapt up and he spilt half his cup. He says, Patricia, this whole thing's a farce. Hand me that hurley stick, which she did middling quick. She hid down the back of her arse. Well, the wallop and thump collided and bumped, trying to inflict other pain. They fell on their ass on a broken glass. They got up and they started again. It could have went on right through to the dawn, only some bugger turned out the light. And then to our terror, and purely in error, 2 wallops collided just right. When the lights came back on, the stranger was gone, the end of his race it had run. For Dan's final cut got him straight on the nut, cracked as straight as a bricklayer's plum. And Dan too was going, his wine had stopped flowing, with a grape buried deep in his head. It went 6 inches in, he was that bloody thin, it was 3 inches out the far side. Well, he lay and he gasped, lamenting he's past, for now he had time for to think. But now he was late, for he found out too late, he should never mix women and drink.